Living the good fat life with your host Karen and Sherri. They'll help everything align for your body, soul, and mind. The good fat life, whether change comes slow or dramatically. The good fat life will help you sort things out organically.
Hey, Sherri.
Hey,
Happy Thursday.
happy Thursday. And what's today?
Happy Avocado Day.
Oh my gosh, who knew, right?
I know, right? And
Right.
who knew the owner of the speakeasy never had an avocado?
You're right.
Today's his lucky day, so we're excited he's going to try our
So,
guacamole
yeah.
here today. And
Yeah, so Karen brought in this beautiful guacamole. And since I'm kind of eating low carb, won't be having chips with it, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, speaking of low carb, I saw this. I have to mention it. They had low carb sweet potato tacos, which I thought was a really great idea with avocado in them. So you might want to try that.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, right?
Delicious,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's it. I'm just really excited today. I mean, it's
me
not just that
too.
it's avocado day, but we've got a really cool guest
I
with
know.
us today.
We are so lucky, aren't we?
Yes, yeah.
We have Greg Sherburn here today. He is a Buddhist Zen priest, and he's here today to talk about different things, but mostly we're going to talk today about how people are feeling unworthy. Thank you so much for being here, Greg. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely
My pleasure.
worthy of
Yeah,
being here.
yeah, yeah.
That's for sure.
But it
Yeah.
does seem to be a constant thread, and maybe if they're not identifying it as unworthy, people are angry, they're fearful, they're just confused, anxious, lots of
depressed.
anxious,
Yeah.
and suicides are up. It's just like one and one, and but then there's also this other side that people are doing amazing. They feel good. They're happy. Their lives are going well. So, what's the difference? What's the
Right,
disconnect?
exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think,
so Greg, yeah.
So, I think Greg can
Talk to that a
maybe
bit. Yeah, tell
shed
us a
some
little.
light on that.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of my opinions.
Yeah.
And that's all it is, really, is opinions. But, I think people sometimes feel unworthy without knowing that it's a mindset. And a mindset can be changed. And I think that the more you work on changing the mindset, the easier it becomes, the better it becomes. But it's an issue of your mindset. If you're feeling unworthy, maybe you're not thinking enough about other people. You're thinking too much about yourself.
Yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to say selfish thing, but, the more you, I was told by a wise man a long time ago, if you want to be happy, think of others. And if you want to be miserable, think of yourself. And
That's a good.
So the more you do for others, the more you help others, I think is a good way to feel better about yourself. Because I think, at least for me, when I help somebody, you have a good feeling in it.
You feel good.
Yeah.
Yesterday, my son sent me a text. He was listening to a talk with their work, and it was, "Don't call me out, call me in, and let's figure this out together."
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And there's just something that just feels good about that, right?
Yeah.
Right, that collaborative thing. So, but tell us your story. You've got a really interesting story to how you got to being a Buddhist priest.
Well, yeah, it started
Here
off
in Michigan.
Here in
In a little
Michigan,
tiny
yeah.
neighborhood in
Yeah.
Royal Oak.
Yeah. No, I was in the sales and marketing area for years. I was in business, and moved around the country a lot. I was.
Was that with your job?
That was with my job
Okay.
or jobs, and and I was a heavy drinker. I drank. Being in sales and marketing, you entertain a lot, you do a lot. But I always enjoyed drinking.
Okay.
Well, for a while, and then it became too much, and I sought some help through AA, and it took me a long time to get it, though. I think I had about 14 or 15 years of trying to get sober and never put together more than 6 or 7 months for about 14 or 15 years. And then it changed. And I think one of the things that helped me change is that I started getting interested in meditation. And that kind of created a mindset change for me. And when I was interested in meditation, I didn't know if I was doing it right. It seemed to work sometimes. It seemed to work okay, but I thought I would explore it a little further. So I went to a Buddhist temple, a little temple in Royal Oak, Muddy Water Zen temple, and I liked it. From the first trip there, from the first visit there, it seemed to resonate with me, and I got into it in kind of a big way. Went for a couple of years, and then became ordained Dharma carry, just a Buddhist, and then attended a couple of years of online schooling and in retreat schooling to become a Dharma teacher, a Dharma instructor.
So what does that mean?
Yeah, what does a
Well,
Dharma instructor mean?
a Dharma instructor is one who is available to help spread the word of the Dharma, the teaching of the Buddha, the way of the Buddha. And, it's not that we know so much about it and what is the way, but we've got some background in Buddhist philosophy. And so we can share that philosophy with people.
Not only you teach it, but you model it correctly, right? Correct? Yeah.
Well, try to model it. Yeah. That's always easier said than done. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Sure.
So you I think it said that you came to the idea of meditation through the AA program.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 11th step of AA.
And had you ever really been exposed to meditation prior to that?
Heard about it.
Okay.
Everybody has heard about. I mean, this was, mindfulness was becoming quite the thing, and I think, but I wasn't really aware of the mindful movement in this country. I didn't know, the Jack Cornwise, the Joseph Goldstein's, the Pema Chodron. I didn't know those people until I started reading about meditation.
Okay.
And I started reading about meditation because the 11th step of AA says, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our contact with our higher power. And so that's how I got into the meditation.
Okay.
Can I ask you, Greg, when you were drinking, did you have feelings of unworthiness? And then when you were meditating, did it help you realize like that was just all in your mind, or what? Where was like the bridge that you saw it started changing and helping it?
And while you're drinking, and especially if you're a problem drinker like I was, you never feel worthy. Something is always wrong. It's you've heard the line. A lot of people in AA use these lines. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And there's always something wrong with you if you're drinking like I drank. Now, some people, for instance, some of my family, they can have a couple glasses of wine and leave it alone. I don't know that I ever was able to leave a glass of wine on the table. I always had to do more.
Yeah.
And
So in your meditation, when you were meditating or started meditating, did you realize when you started to have thoughts of worthiness that did you observe them and then just realize it was just a thought? Or how did that help you? Can you explain that?
When I started meditating, and I don't really have a good explanation for this or really the good words for it, but things felt better. I felt better. I lost the feeling of this isolation that you have when you're a heavy drinker. When you drink, you isolate, and probably when you do drugs. I mean, alcohol was my drug of choice. I never really did much with drugs, but you isolate yourself, and if you're isolating, you got a lot of time to think just about yourself. And I think that.
Well, but that we see that happening now with COVID.
Yeah.
Is it so whether people are drinking or using drugs or whatever, they've just been isolated.
Yeah. Or any feeling, any behavior that makes them feel unworthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or isolated. Like you said, because you're so, that's your world. Your world narrows down.
Yeah.
You're focused on yourself when you're sitting there alone.
Yeah.
There's nobody else to really talk to or share things with. So you're just in your own world. And I think the thing that helped me with, for instance, with AA, when I realized that I wasn't the center of the world,
What?
I had some ego issues.
We all do.
And my ego was saying that, the world revolves around me and all this sort of stuff. And when you realize that you're an important part of the universe, an important part of the world, but not the center of the world, it kind of has a freeing sort of feeling, maybe a liberation. So I think that's when I started realizing that meditation was working, because I had this undercurrent of liberation, maybe. I just felt better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't really say much more than that, other than it worked for me.
Yeah. For me, meditation made me realize that I'm not alone in here.
Yeah.
And when I kept isolating myself and my own unworthiness from my own issues and my own struggles and challenges, that's what was making me feel isolated.
Right.
But you're really not alone in your thoughts. That's
No.
the consciousness, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a consciousness that you get through meditation, I think, that helps you change your mindset. And your mindset, when it's changed for the good or for the wholesome, it gets more wholesome. And that's one of the things that the Buddha taught is, with through karmic action, wholesome actions beget wholesome results. In Christianity, they would say, as you sow, so shall you reap. Well, all the great religious traditions probably say the same thing. I know certainly Buddhism does, and it drew me to it. I liked it.
There's my meditation this morning. It was around a heart meditation, right? And so you're breathing in love, and you're breathing out to sending love out, and our hearts are expanding and expanding. And there's so many. The one thing I love is what I've learned is there's no wrong way to meditate, right? And so we get to your point stuck in like, oh, I'm not doing it right. Am I doing it right? And every day's different. Yep. But what I noticed this morning is, you get up and it's like, okay, the day, and then you sit quietly, and then suddenly it's like the day goes from a day to like this incredible gift of the day.
Yeah.
Meditation just opens you up so much, and you're right. You get out of your own head into.
You said open heart, and that goes along with open-mindedness too. I mean, your open heart, if you open yourself up through an open-mindedness, your heart naturally follows the mind, and it's an open-heartedness that you can share with others, and of course you share it with yourself. I mean, when you talk about feelings of unworthiness, people are they're thinking so much about themselves, like I said, but their heart is closed off. You have to have your heart open to bring other people in. Now, I understand that there's a lot of people who think, well, that's kind of Pollyannic. It is, but it works.
And so my husband will goes like that's just voodoo, and it's like, okay, and who cares?
Yeah,
because if
Whatever
I
it
at
is.
the end of the day, if I feel better, all good. And I didn't hurt anybody or take from anybody in the process. And if I'm happier, you're happier.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. And
Happy
the more
wife,
you
happy
meditate,
life.
the more you meditate, you realize you have a responsibility to the consciousness.
Right.
Like you can't show up in the consciousness like half hungover or like with negative thoughts. It's your responsibility to keep the conscience.
You try, You want to be able to still your mind, relax, and get into a comfortable, relaxed mindset. Sometimes you have things on your mind that just don't flow real well for you, but just go through it. You can't go around it or under it or over it. You got to go through it. It's like a lot of things in the world that we have to go through. You lose a parent or something, and it hurts. You can't get away from it.
Yeah.
You have to go through it. Yeah. And as you go through it, and you go through it in a moment-to-moment type of thing, I don't say it gets easier. It's always painful, but you go on.
Yeah.
And you realize sometime later that you've moved on a little bit from it, letting it go.
Don't you think, too, that if the unworthiness comes from shame, and when you meditate and you put something in the consciousness, it's looked at and it's just made aware of, and you're still okay, and there's no judgment there, and it's like that is what you're truly afraid of, like in your real awake life, like if somebody knows the truth about me, the judgment. Yeah,
when you talk about judgment, you're talking about unworthiness, because that's where we judged ourselves, as unworthy, and the less you judge, the more free you are. Now, I'm going to say something just slipped out, but
So how has this changed your life? So how, on a practical daily basis?
On a practical daily basis, I don't take Prozac anymore.
There you go. Yeah, that'll help.
I have, I don't take medication for depression. I was what I would consider kind of a depressive person when I was drinking heavily. Of course, alcohol is a depressant. Nothing was ever right. I mean, I always wanted to be somebody else, someplace else with somebody else when you're drinking, and that's all you think about is that self. And you're screwing up. And that's why you feel unworthy. You are making mistakes that you realize, and you think, oh my gosh, that's not right. That's not right for me. And a lot of it is out of the habituation actions that habits are very tough to break, and we are all creatures of habit.
Yeah.
And if you change your mind, you change your habits possibly. And I still have habits that are not what I would say where they're supposed to be.
But then that's a judgment, though.
But I always will, maybe. And it's if you don't judge it, you can let it go. It's when you have the force of judgment on something that you hold on to it that you can't let go. And that's when it becomes that unworthiness can enter in.
So you off Prozac, and so I'm assuming with not drinking, you're physically feeling different, and your pocketbook is probably different.
All of that, you feel better. It's amazing how bad I felt all of the time.
But did you realize it?
Oh, you knew it, but it wasn't a deterrent.
Okay.
I have had hellacious hangovers while at work or at a convention, and you have to work through it, and you feel terrible. And and I stopped drinking in my career, kept going, and I was kind of amazed that I could get up and work a convention floor and feel good, because I didn't do that for the first 20 years I was in this field of marketing and sales. So.
Okay. And then, so what about even, so you feel better, physically feel better, you have more cash in your pocket because alcohol's expensive.
Very.
Plus decisions you make on alcohol are expensive. Right.
Yeah.
That's what's the most expensive part is. It's not the booze. Yeah.
Yeah, you do stupid things.
Well, and so now meditating. So what's your meditative practice? Your daily practice look like?
Well, for me, it's best if I get up, I feed the cats, feed the dog, let the dog out, put a pot of coffee on, and then I'll go sit, for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I meditate in a couple of different groups with others,
talk to us about meditating by yourself and meditating with a group as well. Yeah.
If you want to look into meditation, I would look into it with other people, or to get involved with other people while you meditate. We're social beings, we're social animals. It's a little more powerful for me when there are other people that I'm meditating with, because I know we're all doing the same thing. We're all involved in
and you
the same
can feel it. You can
I think you can.
You can palpably feel it.
I believe you can. I believe I can.
Yeah.
I've been at several, I went to about 7 week-long retreats in the last 5 years, and those silent retreats. And there's a socialization with people you're sitting next to, but you're not talking to them because it's a silent retreat, so you don't talk, but you're there with them, and there's a connection. And while you're meditating, you know that you're all trying to do the same thing. You want to feel better, and for me, I did.
I just did a silent retreat, a small silent retreat, and I felt like I communicated more. Yeah, being quiet.
Yeah,
a lot more.
Well, a lot of nonverbal communication goes on when you're at a silent retreat.
But it was it was better. It was definitely better, clearer, less nonsense. Right. It was way better communication than filling up with words.
But the other part of but I do want to make the point that for somebody who's starting or interested, you don't have to go out. There's so many wonderful apps
or just quiet
guided meditations or breathing meditation.
I use Insight Timer.
That's my favorite too.
That's great.
I use it daily, and you can do it with a guided meditation, or you can do it with some soft music or something like that. I found after a while, I felt a guided meditation really helped me. or a singing bowl type meditation. Just relaxed me. I liked it. But then after a while, it became a little bit of a distraction, so I then went more silent on the meditations. But you meditate. It can be by yourself. For me, it's very good to meditate, of course, by myself. But there's a little more incentive when I'm tied to a group and I feel a little responsibility for helping out others, during this meditation.
Sure,
we're all a group. We're all trying to do
I've
the
had
same
that
thing.
before.
And so, if you're going to meditate, you can do it alone or you can do it with others. For me, it worked a little better having some others involved in it too. And then you meditate most of the time by yourself.
Can you talk to us about the myths of meditating and just a little bit about meditation? Because there's a lot of misnomers about meditation. People think I can't shut my mind off. Can you talk to us?
Well, I get that a lot when I talk about meditation to people. I've been told flat out in AA and out of AA, I can't meditate.
Or I don't have time to meditate.
Yeah.
It's not so much the time for me that I've heard, but I can't meditate because my mind is always racing.
Right, I can't turn my mind off.
I can't turn my mind off. And that's okay. You don't have to turn your mind off. In fact, it's kind of good if you're aware that your mind is racing so much. That's part of the meditation. And if you can teach that to somebody, that the fact that you've had your mind wandering here, you keep coming back to this fact that, my mind is wandering. That is coming back to the moment. And when you come back to the moment, that's what you're after, I guess.
Right.
And that's where meditation has helped me so much, is off the cushion or off the chair, because my knees are shot now. I have to use a chair. But that living in the moment is fostered or helped by the meditation practice. And you meditate, you're there, you're living in this moment through this meditation. You get up and you're doing something else, and you feel all of a sudden something when you're doing something else. This is the moment. That meditation comes back to you. And so you might have little episodes of that. I've noticed it after I was meditating for some time, maybe a year or two, I don't know. But it was just, I was driving down the road one day and the sun was out and my windows were down and it was just a beautiful day. And I thought, this is now, this is right here.
Right.
And when you start doing that more, then I think
Which
that
you do when you meditate. It just makes you more
meditation
aware.
creates that
Right.
and helps you do more of that. And if you're living in the moment, you're not worried about the future too much. You're not worried about or regretting the past. Now, the past has fond memories for all of us, and I don't tell anybody that, don't go into the past. You can have great memories, that's fine, and you can plan for tomorrow, of course. But if you're living today, right now, in this moment, you're not going to worry so much about that stuff, and you're going to be more free to make your mind up about things.
Well, or you're more, because there's that, we create our future,
Sure.
right? And
Yep.
so every single moment we're creating what our future looks like. So
Right.
if we can be peaceful and calm and trusting in the moment and enjoying the moment,
Right.
then the next moment or
Yeah.
the future moments are going to be that much better. They're going to be what we want it to be.
One of the other things that I found is that with the meditation, if you have this loving kindness meditation, that's very good. I really appreciate the stuff that Sharon Salzberg has done with that. It's good. But if you have a gratitude in the moment,
So important.
if you have gratitude in the moment, you're feeling pretty good, and you're actually really living in the moment, because if you're thinking, things are pretty good right now, I'm doing well right now, I feel good right now, you're living in the moment when you are experiencing gratitude. And you're not living in the moment when you're concerned about something that you have to do in the future. Now, you have to plan a little bit, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
But
There's some common sense involved.
But there's a different way of thinking about the stuff that you have to do in the future, right?
Right, yeah.
So it could be something where prior to meditation you'll be like, I got to do, where after meditating you can go, that same thing can be very different. It
Right.
can be,
It changes your perception.
I get to have this challenging conversation. And
If you're not attached
right.
To the outcome.
to the outcomes that you have. And yes, outcomes are important, I know, but once the outcome is there, then you move on. And that's something that I could never do when I was drinking. Is, you never let go. You never move on.
Yeah.
Or at least
Don't
I
you?
didn't.
And then
Okay.
you base your decisions in shame and guilt rather than in awareness and action. It's all becomes reaction. Yeah.
It's just you feed the loop. You feed the loop of unworthiness by thinking too much about unworthiness.
Yeah.
About thinking too much about your unworthiness, as opposed to being grateful what's going on right now. And that gratitude will make you feel worthy. You're worthy to live in this moment.
Yeah. And you're almost saying to the when you're self-degrading, you're saying to the consciousness, I'm not good enough to be part of you, and you're separating yourself out, which is almost like it's an egoic thing, just saying like, no, I'm different than that, but you're not at all.
No,
You're the same as everybody.
You'll find out a lot through meditation that our ego has been lying to us for all our life. It has made us feel so important and so necessary to do this or do that. But if you can squash the ego, there's a certain liberation there and a happiness, I think, that people find. And I'm saying this, I don't mean to sound like I'm preaching. This is what happened for me, and this is the way I felt. And sometimes it'll work for others, and sometimes it might not. But I wish I had found it earlier, but I didn't. I found it when I found it, and so that's fine.
And that's all good.
Yeah, that's fine.
We
There's
have
a
our
timing
own.
for
We have
everything.
our own. But I think the part I'm really appreciating about your story is you found it,
Yeah.
right? And so I noticed that when we're younger, which causes a lot of stress in young people, is that sense that we have to make a decision, and this is what we're going to do for the rest of our life.
Your whole life is involved in these little decisions that really don't
Right.
mean much.
Right.
Like where are you going to go to school?
Yeah.
And I understand those are important things to think about, but they're not heaven and earth, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So
But we evolve, right?
Right.
And if we can find tools that help us calm us, like, oh, okay, I'm stressed about this, or I'm feeling distressed. I said this, I shouldn't have said that, blah, 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 blah. But if we have a way that we can calm ourselves,
right.
then it's okay.
If you're living in the moment a lot and you're aware of the moment, you're probably not going to say a lot of things that are going to cause you stress.
That's true. That's true.
You don't even notice it sometimes, but you just feel better.
When you have an awareness of the moment and being in the moment, you realize that all your thoughts will either take you directly to heaven or to hell, really, honestly, and the people around you, right? So Sherri and I, we study Course in Miracles as well,
Sure.
and they talk a lot about that. Like you're taking yourself wherever you're going to go.
Right.
So you can
Right.
go to heaven or hell and
On
bring
earth.
the people
Well,
on earth.
yeah.
Well, I don't know what belief systems are in that for whether you believe in heaven or believe in hell. I
It's
don't.
on earth.
Yeah,
It's
on
all
earth.
we
It's
created
right
right here,
Exactly.
right now.
Yeah. If you're real angry, real unhappy, real
You put yourself
disappointed,
in your own
you're in
hell.
hell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You are.
exactly.
And if you're grateful, if you're thinking or doing something for others,
And in the moment, you're in
in the
heaven.
moment, you're in heaven.
Yeah.
That
And everything's
for me.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. And beautiful, right? It's either love or fear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, this guacamole is just like smelling so amazing. It's delicious.
I know, right?
I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just curious how the Buddhist world works, and now you said that 3 months ago you became a Buddhist priest.
Yeah, just from a Dharma teacher, you get promoted to a priest. And, it's not like the priests we know. It was, you do a couple of little things for it, but just doing the practice is how you become a
Tell
priest
us-
with this sect that we're in.
Okay.
Tell us what a Dharma teacher is exactly.
Yeah, a Dharma teacher is going to teach how to live the Dharma. And so that means that you're probably going to want to go into the Buddhist philosophy of the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, that sort of, the factors of enlightenment. You try to do that type of background. You talk about the Buddha, you teach the Buddha, you teach meditation, you teach the Buddhist practices, and that's what a Dharma teacher does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you do it in every day in every way, not just in class, right?
Right,
I mean, yeah,
right, yeah.
Your example of it.
You try.
Yeah.
You try.
Yeah.
Now, that's I would have to say I try. Now, I'm going to be very interested to hear what my wife thinks about what I'm saying today. So,
Right.
that's
Perception of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
my ego says, "Well, this is great. We're doing a fine job. Yeah, we're being truthful. We're doing this." And my wife might have a different opinion. But
But that's okay,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
you're having the conversation, right?
Yeah.
So, and it sounds like it could be playful.
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be. You know,
Yeah.
So
Is she into meditation as well?
not at all.
How does that work in your relationship? It
Well,
must be interesting.
There have been some conflicts in the relationship about me going into the Buddhist path. We were raised Roman Catholic and married in the Roman Catholic Church. So she was, I don't want to say disappointed, but a little upset that I chose to go in the Buddhist path. And she's been at a couple of the meditation courses that I've taught, and she just doesn't care for it.
It doesn't resonate for her.
It doesn't
Right.
resonate. That's correct.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
Which
Sherri,
is
that's
fine.
Yeah.
Right? Yep.
That's fine. I've tried to teach my, I have adult children, and all three of them have told me to, that's fine for you, Dad, but it's not good for me, and I'm okay with that too. That's where I have to let it go, not keep trying to every time I'm with them to try to bring it up in the conversation. If I can live it by example, which I don't do it all the time, then maybe they'll be more likely to see the goodness in it.
Yeah. That's interesting. I had put my kids in a mindful meditation class when they were little kids.
Yes.
And they were so angry at me. They're like, "Mom,
Yeah.
you paid $50 for us to slowly eat a raisin. We had to mindfully eat a raisin."
Yeah.
She's like, "You paid $50 for us to learn how to eat a raisin for 20 minutes. We don't get it." But now they're in Buddhist temple with me, and they totally get it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
keep
If-
trying.
Because that's how you guys met.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If your mindset is
Yeah.
one way, you're just never going to get the other view unless you
Are open
consciously open up your mind
Yeah.
and let it in without a judgment, and then let it go.
Or something happens. A lot of what I've also seen too is that something will happen.
Right.
Right. And there's a crisis moment where it's like, I want to something different.
A life-changing event occurs. I getting back to the alcoholism again. I don't think my brother would mind me talking about this, but my brother is an alcoholic also, and about 3 years ago, he was told if he didn't quit drinking, he would be dead within 30 days
Oh my
Wow.
because
gosh.
his liver was so
Yeah.
compromised, and he was able to quit. That was a life-changing moment for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, he's not into meditation. He has told me when I said, "Well, why don't we go and do some meditation?" He said, "I would rather hit my hand with a hammer." But he stopped drinking.
Right.
Now, we thought he was going to need a liver transplant, and he still might, but he has come back a lot.
And this was 3 years ago?
That was 3 years ago.
Okay.
So from 30 days possibly, they told him maybe he should contact a hospice.
Wow.
But he quit, and he was able to, with help, come out of that. But he was the great isolationist. He never left his house. He did, when we cleaned up his house after he got sober, it was, there was a lot of booze there that we had to, a lot of cans, a lot of bottles and stuff. But he has made the comment in the last year. He said this was the greatest summer he's ever had.
Oh, that's
And that didn't have anything to do with meditation or Buddhism.
Right.
That just had something to do with not drinking, with shutting out the alcohol, and with the social type of things that came back into his life. His children who had kind of got tired of him.
Sure.
They're back. His nieces and nephews are back. And, he's living very well.
Yeah.
But that was a life-changing event for him when he was told, call hospice because you don't have long.
Right.
I'm
And-
glad you mentioned your brother, because I think there's probably people listening now that feel a lot of shame and guilt and unworthiness about alcoholism or
Right.
maybe other
Sure.
addictions they're struggling through. What would you say to them, people listening right now, if they are feeling that way? Like, what would be the first step for them? Like, maybe to get some help or, yeah.
Well, the first step, I think, is to realize that you're judging yourself as unworthy. You know, we talked about worthy. You're judging yourself as being a screw up. And that doesn't go down well. After that, you might need, in some cases, you might need some other type of talk therapy or something something other than that. It's just when the mindset changes and you stop judging yourself, then you have the freedom to accept yourself. And through that acceptance of yourself comes the gratitude that you have for being alive, for being in loving relationships with other people. You find yourself free. There's a freedom there. And
And it's a freedom beyond any freedom of being
you
high or drunk. It's
you
beyond
can't really explain it to anybody. I mean, you know, you get there's a pretty powerful high or euphoria that comes with alcohol or other drugs that I have experienced, and it is really attractive. I like that feeling of being
Well, with
high.
smoking or eating,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
right.
eating
Yeah,
a
or too
piece of
much
cake
anything,
or
Right.
Yeah.
whatever,
that
buying
that-
something.
Yeah.
That euphoria
Right,
is
for a
so
moment,
strong
yeah.
that it keeps bringing you back.
Right.
And then when you find out that you can set the euphoria aside, you don't have to have that peak euphoria all the time that the alcohol brings, because it doesn't bring it very long. It only brings it for a short period, and then it turns on you. And so, that's what I was thinking.
There is a lot of euphoria in the balance, right?
Right,
In that
right,
balance and that
right.
consciousness.
And the more you meditate, you know, the more you realize that instead of that, it's almost not like a euphoria. It's just a well-being, and you don't need that euphoria. That's when we're drinking or drugging, you know, you chase the euphoria. When you're meditating and you have the good feeling, you don't have to chase the euphoria. And that's it, strictly an opinion. That's my feeling
Yeah.
on it. So I wouldn't say that if somebody disagrees
Right.
with that, that's fine too. I
Yeah,
understand that.
Right. But they say in Buddhism, everything you have, you've already received. Everything you need, you've already received. Right. So
yeah.
once you realize that you have the capacity to
Yeah.
have that well-being, just exactly who you are and what you
Right here,
have.
right
yeah,
now.
right here, right now.
Right.
Yeah,
If you're
it's a lot cheaper.
doing the right here,
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah, there's never anything wrong.
there, you know, you can have loss, or you can have feelings of malaise or something, because you know we're also people where the brain kind of comes and goes with our feelings sometimes. You know, if you're an athlete, sometimes you're in that zone, and sometimes you're not. And if you're meditating, sometimes you get to a little level that's up above what you might do all of the time or most of the time, but they're both fine. You know, and that's the other thing, is that if you know, if you don't have a lot of expectations about meditation, that's probably the best way to go. One of the problems I have seen with meditation is people do it to stop feeling anxious, and they concentrate so much on the anxiousness that they're always anxious. You have to find a way through meditation, through living in the moment, to kind of release or let go of that anxiousness.
Well, and it's a practice.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not,
you
it doesn't, you don't.
can't snap your finger.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's somebody who's just getting into meditation will think that after 3 sessions, well, this obviously isn't working.
Not working.
Yeah. You know,
I consider it mind candy. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's just mind
Yeah,
candy.
me
And
too.
and
Yeah.
my family knows that my meditation is sacred.
yeah.
Yeah.
Grandma's meditating.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, the
me too.
kids. And that's fine. But to your point, if they don't want, that's not, you know,
There's
you're welcome to join me, and
yep.
not, it
I
doesn't
would
matter.
love to have you join me. If you don't, I would love to have you just here. You know, and that's the other thing, is you find out through this meditation that you don't get in as many arguments with people. You don't have to, because an argument gets into that aggression sort of thing. You know, and you have to believe what I'm believing, And meditation with that open-mindedness, it enables you to say that, well, your opinion is your opinion, my opinion is my opinion, but I still love you.
I saw a word, it was with Seth Godin this week, and now I can't remember the word. It's like synchro something or syncing. But the point of it was, and I thought this fit beautifully with meditation, it's like you can have two ideas, you can share multiple ideas.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
okay, you can be a practicing Roman Catholic and be very happy with it, and I can be a Buddhist priest, and we can love our life together, right? It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Well, that's the awareness all things are true, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And part of that comes too from the fact that if you're so convinced of yourself, you take a moral stance on stuff. And then when people take that moral stance, that's when it becomes passionate and in a sense bad. It can become forcing your
Right.
moral viewpoint on somebody else. It's not something I would.
Well, and the
recommend.
world that we live in right now has become so polarized
Yep.
that it just feels good to say, okay, you can believe how you do, I can believe, and we can all, we still can live happily together, right?
We have a system that enables us to make changes nonviolently.
Right.
And if you are a nonviolent believer in nonviolence, then things will be okay for that.
Right. And we can respect each other, and it doesn't make you wrong or me right. It just makes us different. Different
Trust me,
opinions.
I have cousins and family members who don't believe like I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
But we still can get together and love it. Now, on a couple of occasions, we've had to say, let's not talk about that.
Right.
Right.
Sometimes you
Sometimes
just
that's
don't
what
talk
you
about
have to
it. I don't have to convince you to believe like I believe. And you don't have to convince me to believe like you believe.
But we can respect what each other believes.
I-
And
Yeah.
that meditation, I think, helps find that peaceful
Sure.
place. So,
Yeah.
So we're going to ask you for one thing that you could recommend that somebody just sitting in their kitchen could do today to help them feel better. After.
Yeah. Hold that.
Okay.
Hold that
Hold
thought,
that
right?
thought.
Hold that thought,
Right.
because
Right.
I'm sure you have something profound to say. The pressure is
It
on,
better be
right?
profound.
Yes. Okay. So, and we want to, Karen and I just want to take a moment and love up Hands-On Health Chiropractic.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my gosh, we love them, don't we? Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Dr. Adam.
In fact, I have an appointment this afternoon
Oh,
at
fun.
5. Yes, and it's I can't imagine a life without meditation, as we were saying, but I also can't imagine a life without chiropractic care. I just feel so much better. And one of my colleagues the other day said, all my nervous system goes through my spine, and I want to take exquisite care of my spine. And I find that the folks over at Hands-On Health do that, right?
Yes, and Dr. Adam at Hands-On Health, he always says, set your spine to superhero, which I totally love, right?
That's awesome. Yeah,
So
set
that's
your
a great,
spine to superhero.
yeah, that's a great way to go
So,
through your day, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the staff and everything they do is just, I love going in the space because it just feels so good.
And I love that they have their hands on you and they're taking such good care of you, and they're just great in the community. And show everybody the picture of
Oh,
Dr.
yeah. I don't
that's
know if you
Dr.
can
Adam's
see
family
that,
there.
the family there.
Yeah.
What a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yes, so
Yeah,
I'm
Hands-On
treating
Health.
Hands-On Health Chiropractic in Brighton, Michigan, and I am treating my spine as a superhero.
Awesome.
Right?
Check it out, guys.
Right?
Yeah. All right.
So,
Greg, what is the answer?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The answer
Drum
is
roll, please, Johnny.
Yeah, the answer is I don't have the answer. But if you're asking, what can somebody do to maybe feel a little better or feel worthy? And to me, it is letting go of your perceptions. We don't see the world as it is, of course. We see the world according to our perceptions. Everybody knows that. That's been said a lot. But if you can let go a little, you can have a little happiness. If you can let go a lot, you can have a lot of happiness. And that letting go means you're not tied to results, to that result, you're not really tied to anything. When you're letting go, you're absolutely living in the moment because you realize that right now, I've let it go. It's not here for me right now. And that can be freeing. That's
So
Yeah.
we have a
So,
saying,
yeah.
this or something better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
just as a practical
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
to help with that detachment.
Right.
If somebody is looking for this or something better and they want to contact you or go to Muddy Waters, where could they find your information?
Well, you can go online. Muddy Water has, a Facebook page, and or if you want to contact me directly, you can use the greg.sherburn@gmail.com, and I would get back to you within 24 hours if you want to send me an email with any questions. Now, if you have questions, realize that I might not have the answer.
Yeah.
So,
right. Well, that's fair.
so
yeah.
we
But I bet you know
Where you can
where to
direct them.
go, how to go to find the
there
answer,
are
right?
things you can do.
Support.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if you can forget yourself a little bit, that's the first step. And I will, if anybody has any questions or concerns, at that greg.sherburn.
It's
at Gmail.
SHER.
SHERBURN. Yeah.
Great.
And
Okay.
if you have any questions, just shoot me an email, and within 24 hours, I'll be able to get back to you. I
Okay.
do that frequently.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much
Yeah,
for being
thank
here
you so
today.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
thank you.
pleasure.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we learned a lot, and we look forward to being in the consciousness with you. And
Okay.
you guys check out Muddy Waters and check out
So what is Muddy Waters? Just
it's a Zen temple in
Okay.
Royal Oak, and
Okay.
It's a
Yeah.
Korean Zen
Zen
temple.
temple.
Okay.
And, I belong to a Korean Zen temple, but I
it's in English.
consider myself a Buddhist. We do a one chant in Korean just to kind of have contact with our Korean group in Korea. But I'm a Buddhist first and a Korean Buddhist second.
Okay.
And so if something were happening to the Korean temple or something like that, I would find another temple, and I wouldn't really care as much about whether it was Tibetan or any of the other areas.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they also do classes, and you can become
Right.
a Dharma classes. And
Yeah,
you
Dharma classes, meditation classes, and then if you wish to venture into the Buddhist realm, you can practice to be ordained, the Dhammakari, which is, you take the precepts, the 5 precepts.
Okay. Not to mention, it's just a lovely surprise that a Korean Buddhist temple is in a little neighborhood in Royal
Yeah.
Oak. I mean, that's just a lovely surprise. So if you guys want to check it out, and thank you so much for being here. And
Thank you.
I think it's time for us to go find more surprises in our good fat life.
In our good fat life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Greg.
And eat
Thank you.
guacamole.
And eat guacamole.